All right, Dr. Harlan Stueven. Did I say that right?
You sure did.
I wanted to start with just a little dirge because now that's the best I can do to bring in kind of a death march feel. Because if anybody out there has suffered from food poisoning, it is possibly, one of those things that if you have a bad case of food poisoning, I had one back in 1988. I remember it vividly. If you have a bad case of food poisoning, you never forget it. And Dr. Harlan, I know that you've spent, why don't you tell us, everybody, a little bit about yourself and how you've come to the food poisoning, and then we'll get on to dining grades and health departments and all those things, but just a little bit of a background about yourself to start us off, all right?
All right, thank you for inviting me this evening. Appreciate the opportunity to share some ideas on food poisoning and food safety with your guests. I have been an emergency physician since the early 80s. And in that time period, I've seen a number of patients who have suffered from diseases, including food poisoning and foodborne illness diseases. I've become also certified in poisoning care and have taken care of a number of people who have had specific types of food poisoning, and in fact have seen people who have had to be admitted to the hospital, have suffered severe problems, and or have died from food poisoning. So that's kind of my clinical background.
Okay, so I know a little bit about some of the processes that that are involved in selling food or preparing food, because I, as you know, recently started a food cart here in Sisters, Oregon. And I had to go through the Deschutes County Health Department to get okayed and checked out, and that is basically the hierarchy, is it not? It goes to the county health department as far as food issues are and sanitation of restaurants is concerned.
You know, the responsibility for ensuring food safety does lie on the municipalities. In some cases it's a state, some cases it's a county, some cases it is a city, depending upon different areas within the United States. So there is variability, but there is a responsibility that lies there for those municipalities to check up, if you will, on restaurants to make sure that they are following certain standard rules.
Right, and so does that become part of the problem, that there's not like a uniform code, and you don't really know, depending on where you are, who the monitoring agency is?
It does become part of the problem. It becomes part of the problem because there are limited funds available, and so while there may be a goal to look at a restaurant once a year, in many cases what I have found through our analysis of some of the data is that restaurants are not always being reviewed yearly. Beyond that, there is a national FDA code, food code, but that is not followed universally around the United States. And as a result, we have a significant amount of variability in the application of that code and the enforcement of that code.
Okay, so you obviously, through your practice, being an emergency physician, reviewing the current structure of monitoring, basically, is that kind of how you came to dininggrades.com, your company?
Dininggrades.com is a company that I started. There you go. Is a company that I started to, for the purpose of increasing awareness of food safety in the public and building partnerships within the food industry, so that we can improve food safety and reduce the risk of foodborne disease and reduce the severity and frequency of that disease in the public.
Right. All right. So I've loaded it onto my phone, and just walk us through a little bit about what that app or the dininggrades.com does for the public. I know that they're obviously in this age of social media is a very empowering vehicle for communities of people to kind of watch out for each other. And so talk just a little bit about that, your vehicle for helping people do that.
Yeah, thank you. Dininggrades.com is the only website that really standardizes and reports the United States Health Department restaurant ratings all in a grade format. And we've done the hard work of looking at the Health Department scores, if you will, and we've converted those to so that it's easier for the public to understand. And so our primary focus is giving the public a tool so they can choose cleanliness first. They can look at the grade of a restaurant and decide whether they want to go there. Obviously, in your home community, you may have 5 or 10 restaurants that you like to visit, and it probably doesn't matter to you, or you've already drawn your own conclusions as to how clean they are. But if you travel or you go someplace you've never been before, you definitely want to know whether a restaurant is clean. And so Dining Grades has, by importing at this point nearly 1.2 million health department ratings around the United States, parts of Canada, and parts of England, we have been able to give the public a tool so that they can choose cleanliness first.
Okay, so you've done that backbone work, and then I see on the site there is a way for the public to grade cleanliness in and of itself as they visit different restaurants.
Thank you. We've added an additional tool that allows the public to give their feedback. Now, our focus is on cleanliness, but we also have some questions that are focused on satisfaction, whether you were greeted and seated and served to your satisfaction, and whether you would truly recommend this restaurant to somebody else. But for the most part, our rating that we allow the public to participate in is focused on food safety, the items that they can see from their seat in the front of the restaurant. Right.
Well, in my food cart, it's wide open. The front end was wide open. There will be a little picture of it later. So I get a fair amount of people that peer right over and look in, and the griddle is right there for everybody's view. But it was one thing that I realized right away, that appearance is very important, and people, given the opportunity, will look in the kitchen if they could. It's like it's been kind of I don't know. It opened my eyes really quickly when people would look, lean up and look over and look at the floor and look at the front of the fridge and just kind of take it in, just kind of what kind of job I'm doing keeping the food cart clean. I know that you were, go ahead.
I've heard people say that they'll go to the restroom first, and if that's not clean, they're walking back out. All of us have these kind of ideas of what we believe are kind of minimum standards. And, if you sit down on the table and it's dirty, or the salt and pepper shaker are dirty, or the menu is dirty, or they they come over to your table and they hand you a glass like this, instead of like this, they've put their fingers in your mouth, and each one of us will draw our own conclusion. But I don't know why we would want to go to a place that looks dirty from the beginning. There are some nice restaurants too that have the kitchen completely open, which is, I think, really a cool idea. But most of the time, it's kind of hidden behind the scenes, and if you happen to peek in there, they wonder why you're looking back there in the first place. Can I help you with something? Yeah, I want to know how clean your kitchen is. But you may not, even that short peek may not be quite enough.
Right. Well, I will say that I really do look at the bathroom if I go in as a measure. I will put one asterisk on that unless it's a dive bar. I'm going to give a really good dive bar a break on the bathroom. But usually the dive bar isn't serving food, so I usually let that go.
So you're willing to take a risk if it's beer, huh?
If it's a good dive bar, if it's got a really good vibe and a jukebox. Remember jukeboxes? Remember great dive bars with a great jukebox? Yeah, I would give the bathroom a pass if it was nasty. In fact, I said to another guest earlier in the year, you're in a good dive bar when it's probably more dangerous to wash your hands in the bathroom. You just probably be better off zipping and going. But that's a whole other story.
Well, on a more serious note, some restaurants have actually posted a note. I was on a cruise recently, and they had notes posted in the bathroom. Be sure to open and close the door with the hand paper towel or whatever. So, there's a lot of contamination in that bathroom. Yeah, we could have to really go off in a direction on that one.
Right. All right. I know you are working with my great friend Ron at Clean Drop Mobile. Tell us how you guys are working together.
Ron has been a phenomenal partner in this process. We connected about a year or so ago, and we both share a passion in reducing foodborne illness and improving food safety, collaborating with others in the food industry. Ron has really kind of taken the lead on the social media side. He's out promoting clean dining. He's identifying dirty dining and talking to the health departments on our collective behalf. So together we're working very well to approach food safety, and I appreciate it. I know he's on tonight. I see him there, and I appreciate the fact that he's joining us this evening.
He says that Ron is at Anthony Bourdain's. One of his #1 rules: check the bathroom cleanliness first. That's the side of the house, I guess. So I know that you mentioned in your notes that and we talked about social surveillance, and I kind of touched on that on the way in. That social media has been a powerful force to empower people. Just to let people, know what's going on, and also gives a pretty immediate voice, so things can get rectified quickly if a company that's serving food is keeping their eye on social media and seeing what people are saying about them and about their establishment. So touch on that just briefly.
Yeah, a very simple and quick, easy way to identify a problem, if you will. Send a note to @CleanDropMobile, and Ron will pick up on that. If it's the sort of thing that requires the attention of the health department, he'll make a call on our behalf. If it is the sort of issue that is much more severe in a potential foodborne illness or epidemic, I will be involved in that. We also have a tool on our website, dininggrades.com, where people can report suspected foodborne illnesses. Right. We use that word very importantly because many of them are not foodborne illnesses, but you can report a suspected foodborne illness. And if you do, that comes to me, it goes to the respective health department, and it allows very early identification and or resolution of a potential epidemic. And for those restaurants who have joined us as partners, by claiming their site on our website, which by the way is free, they will also have early notification of potential foodborne events.
Fantastic. All right, so I know we talked, I got 2 other areas that I really want to cover. I guess first let's talk about what other things. I know we talked briefly about the challenges for a restaurant. Whoops, that's the wrong one. Hold on. Let me get the right backing. See how I can do that?
Now that looks like
those aren't. Yeah, those are E. coli. It's not a hot dog. Although
I
it looks
didn't
like you
recognize him in that size. I didn't recognize him as being so large like that.
exactly. Well, but it's perfect to my point that I think most people in the food serving industry, obviously some people are cleaner than others, but in general, I think people try to be cognizant of it. And the fact is, E. coli isn't this big blue thing that I can say, oh my God, there's some E. coli. Somebody get a sponge and clean it up. Is there any effort towards, and we talked to this on our phone conversation about, I know there's test strips to test to make sure that your sanitation fluids have enough sanitation in it, but and I'm new to this, the whole serving food side of it, and I kind of feel like sometimes I'm flying blind as to whether I'm disinfecting enough. Since it's a small food cart and I go through product pretty quickly, I'm usually not very worried about something going bad because it just doesn't stay on the truck long enough. But are there any tools that can help restaurants identify possible problems?
Well, I have read recently of some tools that are available, but they're not universally applicable at this point in time. I hope they will be. When they are, I'll be very happy to help promote them. The most important parts of food safety, I think, from the server's perspective, that is from the point when the food has actually already been prepared and now goes out to the table, is we have to remember that any ready-to-eat food should not be touched by the human hands. Okay, ready-to-eat food should not be touched by human hands. So that bread that is cut up by somebody and then put in a basket and delivered, it runs the risk of contamination. So hand hygiene, hand cleanliness is very important. Keeping your hands clean, going to the, when one person goes to the bathroom, as a server, you're washing your hands, you're coming to the workstation and your hands are clean, and then you're not transmitting disease that way. So hand hygiene is very, very important tool, and probably one of the most important. And then nearly 20% of foodborne epidemics are caused by sick employees, people who are going to work and they're sick. And they're coughing, sneezing on their hands, touching that food, sneezing on that cup, touching that cup, delivering it to your table, delivering whatever, 20%. If you can imagine, if we could have people just be more conscientious about going to work, not going to work if they're sick, or have good plans in place that allow people not to go to work if they are sick. So just touching on a couple of important tools there.
Yeah, and I'm washing my hands about 400 times a day now since I've been in the food truck. And again, I know when we talked, you said that it's the #1 entry-level position is restaurant work, and if you're not used to those habits, it takes a while to form those habits. You got to wash your hands every time you touch money. Then you got to go, if you're going to prepare. It's a constant cycle of hand washing, and that should be the entry-level thing. They should just wash their hands all day for the first week.
Well, you point out an important issue here. Nearly 2/3 of the workforce has their first job in food service, usually fast food service, but a variety of food service environments. And those people, usually in their early teens, or I should say mid to late teens or early 20s, have not, in many cases, had any food safety training. Many states will require one person to be food safety certified on duty at any one point in time. And some will require more people to be certified. But there are a lot of places where most of the people handling that food in one way or another have not had any specific food safety training.
Wow. I did not know that. The Ginger Hef says she can't find any ratings on restaurants in New Hampshire. Do you have a difficulty with some states versus others on getting information for ratings?
That sounds like a setup question. I don't know who Ginger is, but yes, we have had frustrations ourselves. There are some states who simply refuse to share their ratings. Isn't that interesting? Or don't have any ratings online themselves. Minnesota is an example. I have talked to multiple people at the state level. New Hampshire is another example where I've been unable to get any data from the state. There are several states like that where it's very frustrating for the public. Many states do an excellent job of it. California in general stands out in a very positive way, and I shouldn't start to enumerate them because there are so many that do a very, very good job. But yeah, it's disappointing that some states are unwilling to share.
Right.
Makes you wonder.
Yeah, and yeah. Say that again. It makes you wonder what?
Makes you wonder what's going on. Why are they unwilling to share? Are they not doing the surveillance? Are they not going to the restaurants as frequently as they say they are or should? Why? Right.
And E. coli is not this big, so it's not like something that just jumps out at you. Hold on, that's a hot dog right there. I know. All right, the last thing that I wanted to talk to you about, my 1988 food poisoning episode. Actually, Ginger Hef was involved. Yeah, full circle here. She bought the burgers, all right? It was the Blues Fest in Chicago, Grant Park. And we bought these, she bought the burgers, brought them, trying to poison and kill everybody. Anyway, we put them on the grill, and right away I'm like, man, that doesn't smell right. Those don't smell right. But I'm young and I'm hungry, right? And I'm like, well, they don't smell right, but I'll taste it. So I take a bite of one. And I'm like, man, that doesn't taste right either. And I'm young and dumb and stupid. I take another bite just to make absolutely sure that it's no good, right? And I'm like, yeah, this is terrible. And my buddy, he's like, what do you mean they're fine? And he eats one whole burger and the rest of the one that I ate. All right, long story short, I was projectile vomiting from both ends of my body for about 24 hours. To the point that, when you're young and you have people come and visit for the weekend and they don't go to bed, well, about 2 in the morning, I came out and racked my grandfather's shotgun, and had it been a working shotgun, I would have killed them because they would not leave the apartment. I felt so terrible. And my buddy who ate another one and the one that I had, nothing, no sickness whatsoever. So I want to just have you just talk a little bit about individual well, that's a tough one. Individual I can't say it. Susceptibility? Say it with me.
There you got it.
But it's different for individual to individual when you come in contact with these nasty E. coli guys. Some people's immune system, no problem, fight it right off, and they just keep skipping down the sidewalk. Other people, have a life-altering experience. So just touch on that a little bit.
Yeah, I could probably build a whole half hour on this conversation, that part of the conversation, and I want to be sure to invite everyone to go to the website and sign up for my blog. It's free every week, every month. I try to have a whole nother topic. This particular month, I'm focusing on why food poisoning affects people differently. So you led me into that one very perfectly. People respond to diseases differently depending upon their basic level of nutrition, medications they're on. Let me give you an example. If you're on a long-term H2 blocker to reduce acid secretion in your stomach, you probably aren't going to be able to fight off infection as well. If you're on medications for your chronic asthma, you're not going to be able to fight infections as well. There are also differences in penetration, if you will, of that particular bacteria. Let's take, for example, a potato salad that's been made up, and I were to take some bacteria and inject it into that potato salad. The bacteria concentration around where I injected it would be very high, but over here it would not be as high. So if I ate this part of the potato salad, I'd be more likely to get sick than if I ate this part of the potato salad. So you can see there's so many factors that are involved. I would invite you to follow me on the blog, and I'll continue to educate you on that point and many more.
Absolutely. And what about obviously a diet healthy and probiotic like naturally fermented foods as a way to help that?
Yeah, excellent point. Excellent point. Particularly if you've been on antibiotics or you've gotten sick from something and the balance of bacteria in your body is now out of whack, you certainly need to be on a probiotic to try to rebalance those good bacteria in your gut. If at the moment that you're exposed to that bacteria, whatever it is, your gut flora is not in the right balance that it should be, you're at increased risk of getting sick.
All right, perfect. All right, beautiful. Dr. Harlan Stueven, thank you so much for spending some time with us, and I'd love to check in with you regularly, if that'd be okay. We can do this, and again, especially as you come across things, and I'll keep an eye on your blog. But as a new restaurateur or food cart hero, that's what I am, a food cart hero. And again, this is new to me, that the whole business side of it. And the last thing I want to do is get somebody sick and suffer the night that I had way back in 1988 that I remember like it was yesterday. So I really appreciate your time and future contact, and we can keep food safety at the forefront and keep people empowered. And thank you so much for everything you're doing so far.
It's been an honor to be here. You know, I want to just make one last important point. You know, why is this so important? Well, imagine going out to dinner with your spouse and they get sick all night long. Imagine going to an all-inclusive and you get sick all night long. Or imagine being the ER doctor on duty and that young kid comes in and dies in front of you. All of those things happen to me. Food poisoning is important. 1 out of 6 of us are going to get sick every year, and 8 are going to die every day from food poisoning. Wow. And 50% of the time it's from restaurants. Food safety is important. I appreciate your time. You've honored me and this cause, and thank you so very much. I'll be happy to be your guest again.
All right. Thank you very much, Doc. You have a great week, and we'll talk to you again soon. All right. There it is again. There it is. There it is again. Every time somebody leaves, it says kick them out. I got to talk to Blab. They got to stop doing that, man. Kick them out. What do you mean kick? I didn't kick him. He graced us with his time and knowledge. All right. That was fantastic. All right. What else do we got to do here? I'm going to do just a quick little Chuck Wagon update. Had a record month in July at the Tuscan Chuck Wagon. Everything's backwards. My picture's backwards. It's not supposed to be like that. And I look really big in the Chuck Wagon. Welcome to the Chuck Wagon. Oh, my word. All right, so I'm going to debut a dessert this week on the Chuck Wagon. I've been working on it. It's going to be the mini naan breads, the Stonefire naans. They make minis, a little butter, little cinnamon, and then some apples, right? And then a little crumble. Yeah, it's a crumble. Thank you, from the studio. A little crumble, and then Harding Hill Farms maple syrup. Drizzle over the top onto a parchment into the pizza oven for 6 minutes, and ooh, man, Dorf on golf. Dorf, thank you for coming to the food cart. Here's your food. I hope you're hungry. Is that ridiculous? Oh my goodness. Oh, he's big. He's big in the food cart industry. And I'm serious too with the hand washing. I've washed my hands more in the past 3 months than I have my whole life combined. But I'm told that's one of the most important parts of it. All right, there I am back in the Mangia Studios, Mangia Kitchen Studios. All right, I think that's everything that I had to cover. Really, too, I'm excited to see technology. I mean, technology is a wonderful thing, and if you imagine if you could put on some glasses like this, and you could look at and be like, oh, there's E. coli. All right, bong, either washing or throwing out. We need some like bad bacterial glasses. Wouldn't that be some killer technology? Right away. Or you wear them into the restaurant and the server comes up and you're like, dude, go wash your hands. All right. You're loaded with bacteria. I got my special bacteria glasses on. That would be fantastic. Put on the bacterial glasses and just call people out at the restaurant. All right. Hey, you into the bathroom, wash your hands, double time. All right. So that's what I got this week. You got that's right, like Japanese beer goggles. Absolutely. All right. You guys have a great week. Thanks for stopping by. Do yourself a favor and cook somebody a meal, would you? And do everybody a favor. And while you're cooking or before you cook that meal, make sure you wash your hands, the surfaces. All right. Make sure you're not serving out-of-date food. As a Heffernan, that's an iffy one. I'm always like, I usually give the out-of-date best served by as a guideline rather than a rule. But important stuff. And listen, if you're buying wine, go to cellarangels.com and use Mangia wine as a coupon code, and you're going to get free shipping for 2 bottles to 1 case. Cutting boards, make sure they're not porous. And that's another good one from the studio. The studio audience, they held up a cutting board here. Yeah, cutting boards, super important, man. And the health department was all over that. What are you using? These wood chopping blocks and stuff, not necessarily good because the bacteria, man, they get into all those wood crevasses and it's hard to disinfect. Dining grades, Dr. Harlan, you got rub coming your way for being a fantastic guest. Send me a correct address and I will get that in the mail tomorrow for you. Cutting boards equal cross-contamination, says Ron from Clean Drop. Absolutely. And again, it's, the bacteria is so small, it's not like that. Hold on a second. Let's get back to it. It's not like, hey, look at the E. coli all over everything. Somebody get a sponge and mop that up. It's not like that. You don't get the benefit of having E. coli jump out at you like that, All right. That's it. Hey, if you're in Chicago, check out Chicago Helicopter Experience. Use the code word Mangia for $10 off your tour. If you need web development, go to AE3 Studios. AE is the best, and he can put together a website that will be foolproof. That's what I forgot to say it too. Oh, man. I wanted to ask Dr. Harlan, how can you make your gut bulletproof, like Big D would say? One of those Mangia keywords, bulletproof, all right? I'll tell you how you get it bulletproof, all right? You got to eat a lot of naturally fermented stuff. Get it in your diet, man. Start making sauerkraut or buying good homemade sauerkraut, all right? Kimchi, the kefir grains, the water kefir, fantastic probiotic. You got to it's got to be part of your deal, man. You got to get something fermented in your diet on a regular basis. All right. You guys have a great week. I'm not sure if I'm going to be on next week. If not, I'm going to move the Vamps in August. We're going to go to a 4-week session of Vamps on Wednesdays from the food cart during Trivia Night Wednesday. This is going to be late for you East Coasters because it doesn't start till 6:30 out here in Oregon. So it'll be 9:30. You'll have a little trivia to go to bed to on the East Coast on Wednesday nights. So we're going to do 4 food cart vamps starting probably next week, next Wednesday. All right. You guys have a great week. I will see you after I go clean up the bacteria, and have a great week. See ya.